Princess Alira first saw the human standing ankle-deep in red mud, arguing with a broken irrigation rig, and she laughed. Because this was Kael'mar of Red Valley, the frontier legend who had made dead soil feed 3 moons. And he looked ordinary, sunburned, worn hat, sleeves rolled up. One boot braced against a leaking pump while he hit it with a wrench. Alira had crossed the outer sector expecting a war hero. Instead, she found a farmer covered in dust. And when her shuttle settled too close to the field, he only called out, "If that royal toy sinks any deeper, princess, I charge extraction fees." Her guards stiffened, but she laughed again. "Is this truly Kael'mar?" He tipped back his hat and revealed a face lined by labor. "That depends," he said. "Is this the part where you explain why I was wrong?" "Your reputation suggested reverence," she replied, and he snorted. "Your court pays poets better than workers." The valley behind him stretched beneath a pale sky. Irrigation channels cut through crimson earth. Tractors slept beside grain towers. Barns wore salvaged hull plating. Everything was rough, repaired, alive. Alira had come to judge whether one human farmer truly held more influence on the frontier than imperial governors. Then Kael crouched, rubbed a pinch of soil between his fingers, glanced toward the northern ridge and said, "You've brought too much shine with you. If raiders are watching this valley, they know you are here." Captain Saren dismissed the warning, but Kael did not look at him. "Raiders do not arrive loud," he said. "They arrive hungry." Then he raised 2 fingers toward the barns. And all across Red Valley, settlers started moving without a single shouted order. Livestock vanished underground. Water stores were sealed. Heavy crates rolled from sheds. Alira frowned. "You built defenses into a farm," Kael met her gaze. "Out here, those are the same thing." The first explosion proved him right. Black smoke erupted from the ridge beacon, and skiffs burst over the valley like knives from the sky. Low, fast, guns already chewing fire through the grain. Saren shouted for shield lines. But the raiders ignored the shuttle and struck the silos, the pumps, the seed vaults. Every target a palace planner would miss and a starving warband would prize. Alira understood then that Kael had read the attack before it began. This was a harvest raid, timed, precise, ruthless. Then the valley became a battlefield, and the laughter died. Kael moved before her guards finished aiming. He kicked open one of the heavy crates and pulled out a coil rifle. One shot dropped the lead skiff into the wheat. Then he started calling names. "Mara, East Trench, Del, cut the pumps. Nico, light the decoys." And across the valley, scarecrows unfolded into auto turrets. Irrigation ditches became firing lanes. Hidden plates rose to shield children. Even the old rig he had been cursing unfolded armored siding around workers. Alira froze for one stunned heartbeat, because Kael had not built a farm with defenses. He had built a fortress disguised as survival. Saren pushed the royal guard forward. Then a raider burst hit him square in the chest and threw him smoking into the dirt. A skiff skimmed low and dropped boarders. One slammed into Alira hard enough to send her into the mud. She fired once, lost her pistol, and watched a hooked blade rise over her face. Then the raider jerked as a pitchfork punched through his back. Kael hauled the body away and looked down at her with calm. "Try not to die in my irrigation lines," he said. "They are expensive." Another blast ripped through her shuttle and showered molten metal across the field. So she ran with him into the central barn, only to find not panic, but organized fury. Settlers loaded munitions, elders packed wounds. Children relayed ammunition, and Kael stood over a weather console turned tactical grid. He fought the way he farmed, reading terrain, water, timing, wind. When raiders pushed west, he opened floodgates and trapped them axle-deep in mud. When a gunship swept over the barns, he ignited dust charges in the grain chutes. When the shuttle shield core failed, he strapped it onto a thresher and rolled a moving barricade into enemy fire while settlers advanced behind it. Lyra had studied admirals all her life. But this was human war in its purest form. No speeches, no banners. Just a savage refusal to let monsters take what honest hands had built. This was what made humans frightening. They turned necessity into weaponry, and love into defiance. By dusk, the raiders were bleeding but not broken. Then their chief descended himself. Huge in black armor, shock maul crackling in his hands. Leave your stores, leave your machines, leave the princess. And maybe some of you live through winter. He roared. Alira raised a recovered sidearm. Kale covered the barrel with one scarred hand and lowered it. Mine, he said. Then walked alone into the center field while the whole valley watched. Just a farmer in work boots facing a killer built for war? The raider laughed exactly as Alira had laughed that morning. You farmer, Kale spat red into the dirt and answered. Every field has one last pest. The maul struck hard enough to shatter soil. Kale moved with ugly, practical speed. No elegance, no wasted motion. He let the heavier enemy drive him backward, toward the irrigation trench. Then stamped a hidden switch with his heel. Current ripped through the flooded channel. The raider chief convulsed, dropped to one knee. And Kale drew the harvest blade from his belt and buried it to the hilt. Not royal steel, just a sharpened farming tool. When their chief fell, the remaining raiders broke. Settlers and surviving guards cut them down or drove them into the dark, and by full night, Red Valley still stood. Scarred, smoking, alive later, beneath work lamps and stars. Alira found Kale repairing the same old irrigation rig. She stood beside him and said, I laughed at you. He tightened a bolt and shrugged. Happens. She looked over the valley and said, I thought you were a man hiding from history. Kale finally glanced up. No, princess, I am a man feeding it. And in that instant, Alira understood why frontier worlds trusted humans more than thrones. Why empires feared them, and why the stars never managed to tame them. Because when the dark came for what was theirs, humanity did not wait for heroes. They stood in the dirt, set their feet, and made the universe pay for every inch.